when it comes to seasons, not only are they not all created equal, but you can't create them and you can't control them. But what you can do is you can prepare for them and respond to them. How do we respond to an invitation from the Lord to fuller freedom? Therefore, since we also have such a large cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us lay aside every hindrance and the sin that so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that lies before us. Let us become free to run. It goes on to say, keeping your eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. For the joy that lay before him, he endured the cross, despising the shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Jesus is the pioneer and the perfecter of the Christian life. He's not just an invitation to salvation, but he's an inspiration for how we're called to live as we follow him and await the opportunity to see him face to face. We look at how he lived, we learn from the things he taught, and then on top of that, he gives us his spirit. He empowers us to actually go and do it. When the book of Hebrews was written, and the audience that received the book of Hebrews, when they thought about the concept of freedom, Jesus wasn't the first name that came to their minds. You think about who might have been the first name that came to their minds to this Hebrew, new Christians who are Hebrew in their past, who are Jewish in their upbringing, and now following Jesus. The name that would come to their mind when they would think of freedom was Moses. Moses was the man. Like Moses delivered the people of Israel from slavery in Egypt. Moses established the law, which was the rules and the regulations to live in free relationship with God and free relationship with one another. Like Moses was the hero of the Hebrews. He was the founding father of freedom. And he says this in chapter 3, verse 1. Therefore, holy brothers and sisters who share in a heavenly calling, consider Jesus. In some translations, it says, think about Jesus. The apostle and high priest of our confession. He was faithful to the one who appointed him, just as Moses was in all of God's household. For Jesus is considered worthy of more glory than Moses, just as the builder has more honor than the house itself. What he's trying to help these Hebrews, these new followers of Jesus, understand is that yes, Moses was good. Yeah, Moses delivered the people from Israel, and Moses established the law. Moses was the man. Like Moses was great. And yet this writer of Hebrews is saying, but Jesus is better. He didn't just deliver some, he offers deliverance to all. He didn't just deliver one nation, he offers deliverance to the nations. He didn't just set up a sacrificial system for the forgiveness of sins, but he became our sacrifice once and for all, so that we don't have to make sacrifices. We just simply accept him as our sacrifice. He didn't just teach rules and regulations, but he sent his spirit to live in us, to transform us, to become more like him for the good of others. He didn't just have an encounter with God and talk about it like Moses did, but he creates a way for us to encounter God. And we can meet with God heart to heart, spirit to spirit, whenever we want to. Are you settling for your Moses, or are your eyes set on Jesus? Are you settling for good, or is your gaze set on what is better? If I'm not careful, I'll settle for a Moses-type faith. The one that just kind of makes sense. It's kind of easy. It's kind of comfortable. And here's where many of us are. We often settle for a faith that feels good enough, but it doesn't actually bring freedom. Is that the kind of faith that you're operating with? Or are your eyes set on something better? John 10:10, Jesus says this, a thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it in abundance. The type of faith that Jesus invited us into doesn't just get us into heaven, it gets heaven into us. It transforms us. It changes us. It makes us different. My countenance, the joy of my presence, the power of my presence, the wonder of my name, the wonder of my grace, the wonder of my love. Y'all, we can have all of that if we respond well. If we set our gaze on Jesus, if we make some space for him in our lives.